Hey everybody, welcome to 2023. I'm not going to give the usual salutations for this time of year because it's not something that we follow particularly. So brief explanation on that one. We're simply, even though we're trapped into the Gregorian calendar, which was set in place over 400 years ago, it's not something that we follow in terms of traditions and religions that are connected to it. We follow the Celtic calendar, one that is better known as the cologny calendar, and I have an adapted 12-month version of it, but the original cologny calendar was actually broken into two different sections, light and dark, and spanned what is the equivalent of approximately five current calendar years, and that was one full cycle. So we actually have two New Years every year. October 31st to the 1st is our first, because our year starts with the dark half. And then May 1st is the start of the light half, which is our second New Year. So Jawan and Beltane, if you will, are rough comparisons. I'll show you the calendar behind me. If you see here, we have our variation of the calendar. So up here, October to November in Samonios, that's where Javan is. That is seed fall. And then down here opposite it is April to May, and that is Schutzro, Jamonios in Beltane. So those are our New Years, which, funny enough, aren't really set around the solar calendar, but more around the lunar calendar and planting times. But that being said, I wanted to, in the vein of genuineness and openness and authenticity, discuss what it is that we believe and what it is that we celebrate, because it is a question I've been asked. And I wanted to continue along this particular subject and this particular trend. I previously spoken about myself as a primal Celt, relating to knowledge and memories and things that I remember from much, much earlier, a different time. And these are what I refer to as ancestral memories. But more so than that, answering certain questions about who we follow, what we follow. And last time I mentioned two deities that I personally follow and that we have followed as a family, although we have extended our hearts to and our souls to Danu, and through my eldest Aiden to Caradwin. So these are beautiful things. But for myself, I am a devout follower of Herne. That's the name I like to use. It's one that I first heard when I was much younger, and it resonated very powerfully with me, and it took me a long time to understand why. And as I researched, I discovered Herne was also known as Cernunnos, was possible connections with the Welsh lord of the underworld, or the other world. So a lot of different, he's the Lord of the Hunt. But what does Herne represent? He is a nature deity. And as such, he is a god of life and death. So not just a giver or a taker. You could look at it that way. Life and death being two parts of the same cycle, a cycle of rebirth. Things fall back into the earth and give birth to new things, which are reborn and exist again, and then live and die and right back through in different forms. And transformation is a huge part of Celtic faith. Transformation, those are huge. They're massive tenets of our faith, that all things transform and change, and that the only constant is change. So I guess kind of similar to certain sciences. But anyways, back to Herne, who is a deity that I'm a devout follower of. He represents the wild places and the wild things. And he communicates to me through the wild animals and their presence at certain times, certain auspices. When we go out to our sacred space, spring through fall, all the way through summer and fall, we are visited by his animals. We are graced with the presence of many frogs, who is one of his sacred creatures. This summer we were visited while swimming and canoeing by a western water snake, They are very gentle, very curious snakes. And I've always been petrified with snakes, but I was so curious at this snake that was following our canoe. And I just put my hand down, and then I pulled it away instinctively, but I've heard that they rarely bite, and their bites are very, very small, only when mishandled, but they'll be very curious and let people handle them. And he followed our canoe for a good 20, 25 feet away from the rocks where we were swimming. So that was really cool. Wolverines, otters, turtles, lots of turtles, dragonflies, all sorts of animals that, coyotes, falcons, hawks that grace us at the right time to let us know that what we're doing is the right thing, or at other times to let us know that we should change our course of action and change our direction. So he communicates to me through that, and has communicated with me more directly in other vision quests. And I continue to seek those, and each time he reminds me that he is there, even though he's known as the Whisperer and he's very silent. He is indeed part of us and a part of our life, and we honor him, and so he in turn does his best to protect us. And so I refer to him as Father, which for me was a lot of overcoming some serious father wounds in my own personal life, in this life. And to be able to release and let go of my ego enough to be able to refer to him as Father was huge. It was a very healing point, and I'm grateful to him for it. So you see, I speak to him in a present tense. I don't speak of him in terms of, oh, he's up here or he's over there. No, he's here. He's with me. He's in me. In the immortal words of the great Taliesin. And this is just kind of me rewriting it, but Ir within mopeth, afopeth inovi, all things are in me and I am in all things. And that's the essence of our transition and transmogrification, is that we live in all things and all these creatures are a part of us. And Herne is a constant that is there. And so he's somebody that I feel a great deal of love for, and he's a deity that I feel a great deal of love from. And there's never an aspect of, I could say I'm his servant, but I'm not. I'm more a steward of the wild places and do my best to honor him through that. Do I serve him? No. Does he serve me? No. I honor him and I follow him. Do I worship him? No. Do I ask him for guidance? Yes. Do I pray to him for guidance? Yes, as do my children. But the relationship is more complex than worshiper and worshipped, right? The other god that I follow, or goddess, or deity, is Arianrhod, the silver wheel, the Welsh moon goddess, a goddess of women, a goddess of journeys, a goddess of inspiration and journeys. So the silver wheel, she's also the tapestry. She's also a weaver of tapestries, and that those are the stories of our lives that she helps to shine light on. And as the mother of Gif, she is also, I guess you could say, the mother of the sun. So kind of interesting, one following the other, and it shows how the dark times always precede the light times for us. And that is when we safeguard the power of the world and the power of our planet, of the earth, and of our deities until the light comes back. And then we give it back. And we're guardians and stewards and keepers of these things. And so if you go back to the primal and the primal times, such as I do, those were very important keys of us knowing when to plant, of knowing when to hunt, of knowing when to forage, was by following the patterns, following the moons, following the cycles that also follow with the moons. And that was communicating with our women, because their wombs were the cauldrons. Their wombs were dictated by the cycle of the moon. And so we had to be in close communication with them, because they carried that power of fertility to the land. And we'll get into more ideas there that the things that I've studied and learned, and theories that I have that other researchers and authorities who've read way too many things written by Christian monks disagree with me on, but make a profound amount of sense when you stop and think. But yeah, that being said, I'll allow some time for Kelly to discuss what Danu means for her, and for Aiden to discuss what Caradwin means for him. Although he may not come on here, and he may, I hope he does, but that's okay if he doesn't. At 20 years old, he's a little more of a private citizen, and I'm good with that. So yeah, there's our beautiful calendar with Herne and Arianrhod, both of them gripping a torque, which is a symbol of their unity. As he in the wild hunt, he chases her through the night sky. The serpent, who is another one of his sacred animals. That's why I was so excited to see that northern water snake. And the cycles of the moon you see up top. We do have the sun in the middle, shining light on all the seasons. And this is here in our dining room, and our children see this all the time. And this is our calendar, because it does not change from year to year. It stays the same every year. And this is our joy, and this is our life. So that's me in a bread box, kind of in a little tin, kind of put things in. I will discuss more about the transmogrification of the soul and that similarity through our Indo-European roots in terms of our beliefs with Hinduism. There are a lot of commonalities, but we'll get into that another time. But for tonight, I think that's about it. And I'll say thank you for taking the time to listen and to watch and to respect, and feel free to comment, and I'm always open to discussion, and I'm always open to questions, and this is my journey. I am Kiddish Kenuarigan. I am Hawkwill, singer of the song, and I am Celt. I am Druid. Have a great night.